What is going through your mind?
I don't think much. I'm just really in the moment, and I just know what I have to do next.
Red Bull athlete, freestyle skier, Olympic champion, 9 times XGames medalist, dream winter on the World Cup circuit, 6 victories and 3 second places in 9 competitions. Mathilde Gremaud.
The success is great, but it definitely has a darker side. The actually reigning world champion and Olympic champion in slopestyle right now. Like, I have everything to lose, but if I think like that, it's like...
In order to make this podcast 1% better every episode, I need your help. Please subscribe, like, and interact with my content. You'll be helping me improve over time to make this podcast the #1 platform to talk about mental health in the sports industry. Thank you and enjoy this episode. Mathilde, one of the first things I saw when I went to your Instagram account was your ZAM hashtag. Can you tell us what does it mean?
Yeah, it's just like a kind of stupid hashtag. When you see something, you're like in the park or whatever, and someone does a trick, everyone goes like, "Wow, sick!" And I just go like, "Zam!" Or it's like, yeah, it's just something that I say for fun, and I thought, why not use it a little bit more? And yeah, actually nothing crazy, like no crazy story behind this, but yeah, sometimes it's just funny when you're like, yeah, you're just in a situation and you're just like, "Zam!" and that's it.
All right, cool. ZAM, you use it for freestyle skiing, and freestyle skiing is one of 1,000 sports that you could possibly do. Why did you decide to go for freestyle skiing?
Well, when I grew up, I was skiing like normal, doing a bunch of sports, and I definitely had a bit of a attraction to the extreme sports. Like, I love to go to the skate park with my rollerblades. My parents bought me a BMX because I just wanted to jump on the bike. And now later on, I'm doing like more like a downhill bike, but it's still like something that I did a lot as well, just around the house with the bike in the woods and as a kid, and just hitting the trampoline as well. Like, we had one in the garden, and with all the sports I was doing around the house and everything I was trying out, it just like at some point translated on the skis. And when I was young, I wanted to be a ski racer more than freestyle skier because I didn't really know about it. And then with the time and growing up and becoming like a teenager, I was like, oh, freestyle is super cool. And every time we would go in a bigger ski resort with my parents, there would be a snow park somewhere. And I would just take 2 laps through the snow park, and then we would keep skiing normally. And I just really enjoyed it. But I had also no idea that it was an official sport. Within 2-3 years, I just figured out it was an actual sport, and in 2014 it became Olympic sport for slopestyle, and yeah, that's pretty cool. And that's when I realized, okay, it's actually a sport where you can compete and everything. So it just came really naturally with all the activities I was doing besides skiing. It just like I just used a bit my skills on the skis to jump and do some tricks, and later on discovered I can compete.
Definitely a huge potential that there is still in the freestyle sports. And then once slopestyle became an Olympic sport, it obviously became more and more popular also for us as viewers on the screens. Did that influence also kind of your way that you started with all kinds of disciplines and then decided to go for slopestyle and big air?
Yeah, I mean, probably I just thought it was for sure really fun. And at first I don't think that it really influenced me in a way. But yeah, when I started seeing like videos on YouTube of people posting edits and like hearing a few names here and there, or my cousin was a bit into it as well, and I think he influenced me more than probably the sport being young and growing. It was just like more him that had a bigger influence on me, because he was already like watching YouTube and he was like, "Yeah, look him up and look this up and look that," and I just watched a few videos, and that's just like probably the beginning of YouTube more than the beginning of the sport that influenced me. Yeah, but it was I think for me, like now that I think about my whole childhood and stuff, what I did makes total sense that I'm now doing free ski. Yeah.
Whenever I used to watch freestyle skiing, I was always impressed about how chill the athletes would look and how they would just be there and listen to music. And listening to music seems like a big part of you being an athlete as well. What kind of music do you listen to when you're standing up there and waiting to start your run?
I really listen to all kind of music. Uh, the least I listen to is probably rap, like whatever, French rap or English. I don't particularly like enjoy it because there's not enough melody for me. But I think every type of music that has more melody, I really enjoy it. And sometimes, like, I mean, I talk about melody, but sometimes I could also listen to some techno or whatever when I ski. It just depends on the mood of the day, and most of the time I just go to my liked song on Spotify and just shuffle the whole thing, and at some point I will find either one song that I will listen on repeat or be like, oh, that kind of music I want to listen to, so I'll just look for the playlist that match the vibe, and I will listen to the whole playlist. But really, it's really like there's nothing precise that I always listen to. I've even listened to classical music, and yeah, it just really depends on what I want, like the day I'm skiing.
Do you even like hear what they're singing about, for example? Because I feel like you need to be so focused, and you need to visualize the run you're gonna do in slopestyle, for example. So do you even like listen to the music, or is it like something more in the background?
I think for some parts of in the training, I will hear more. Like if I'm on chairlift, I will also pay attention to music. Obviously, when I ski, like most of the time, I just don't. You stop hearing it, for sure. But I think in some moments, it's just really nice for me to have it. Calms me down, I think, and makes me focus on something else, which is like maybe some people will say this is totally wrong because I should be focused on what I'm going to do and really be in the moment. But I think, yeah, the music just distracts me a little bit, which is probably good. Otherwise, I feel like I lose already some energy focusing on what I have to do in like 5 minutes, and I want to have all my energy and my focus during my run. So I kind of appreciate the music for that. I will, like a lot of times during competitions, I was listening to a new song that I didn't know, and I was focusing on learning the lyrics. For me, it's like it doesn't happen all the time, but it has happened a few times where I'm like just not thinking about skiing until I'm standing there. I have a half a minute, I can breathe, I can visualize through my whole run, and then I can ski. So up until that point, like the music is really useful for me.
Freestyle skiing became a huge passion for you and also super successful, obviously. What is even passion for you? Can you describe how that passion lives day by day for you?
Yeah, well, as I said in the beginning, for me, skiing or freestyle skiing was not the end goal. Like it just happened to be that, but when I started, I had no idea where it would, but where it could lead me as well. And that's why, yeah, the passion for me is super important in whatever I do. It's like, for me, passion is always something that I start without a precise goal, where I'm like, I just do it because I enjoy it. And that's how it is with skiing, where like I just love doing it my whole childhood, even not when it was in the park. Like we were just skiing so much at home and every afternoon, just like the Wednesday when we had we were free from school, we would just go skiing and spent so much time in a ski resort with our friends and my sister. And it was, for me, it was like, it was just so much fun and an activity that I didn't have to like think really far about. So it was, the passion. I just like built it for 15 years, and then I started competing in this sport because I've always had a competitive spirit, but I was like using it for other sports. I was doing track and field when I was younger, and I was like, all my competitive energy was going in there, and sometimes like the games we were doing, but otherwise like there was nothing really competitive about skiing for me, and that's what I think built such a big passion for skiing for me. And then obviously being still a competitive person, in realizing that I can compete in this sport, for me was also natural to start competing, and I really enjoy it. But sometimes it's I think it's cool for me that I didn't start this sport directly doing competition, because every time I have some trouble, because competition is like more of a job, and it's like you have goals, you have to always do new things and reinvent stuff for yourself, and you just have to kind of work hard all the time. It's cool at some point I just can go back to the roots a bit and think about the passion and be like, okay, yes, I work hard, I have to work hard, I want to learn something new and I don't know what it is and it's stressing me and stuff. But let's breathe. Like, I just enjoy skiing at first, and let's keep it that way, even though there's this whole work part attached to it. Like, it's cool to be able to sometimes, take a step back and think about the passion of it. And I think that's what also, makes me able to really keep going all the time, because I can differentiate a bit the passion and the work, and sometimes I mix it. And I think that's passion is definitely key to a lot of things.
I love that approach. I feel like even young athletes should kind of follow that approach, because if they are pressured too much at first, like as you said, maybe that passion about the skiing part goes away and it becomes more of a pressure to compete and to like reach goals and stuff. So I feel like for young athletes, this would probably be the best approach.
Yeah, I think it depends on what sport we talk about. Maybe a sport a bit more artistic, like free ski, where you have a lot of freedom, is good to have a passionate approach, I think. But there is also sport where I feel like with maturity you can enjoy your sport more. Like, I feel like if you're a kid and you do more endurance sports, at the beginning it's not that hard. You don't really have to train. It's kind of natural talent. And then there's a phase when you're like 15 to 20, you just realize what it is to go to training every day. And maybe on your bike, you spend so much time just pedaling and training, doing intervals and stuff. And I feel like it could be a phase where a lot of people just stop because it's super hard and you really have to go and push your limits in a different way than more artistic sport, I feel like. But I feel like after, when you have a certain step, I just hear from a lot of endurance athletes that it's like, you're in a bubble and like the pain kind of feels good, and it's a passion that develops maybe a bit later on. And for us, I feel like it's good to have a passionate approach at the beginning, but then if you want to compete, you also have to, at some point, like, push the limits and maybe do stuff that you don't really want because it's not cool, but the fact is that you have to go to the gym, you have to train, you have to also sweat, and not only just like send it on the jumps, because I don't think it can really work super long term for an athlete if you just only have the passionate approach. But as a young athlete for sport that are similar to mine, I definitely would push that approach.
And a really important thing that you said, like pushing your limits off the course, off the piste, off the slopes, because obviously we only see you, like usually we would only see you on the snow, but like off snow, there's a lot of work that you need to put in, and that's definitely something we don't usually see. So like even probably the longer part of the season is probably off season, and then you kind of go and can really live that passion on the snow and be creative and stuff. And before it's more of a hard work and sweat that we don't really see. But we also want to know a little bit more about you personally. So let's go outside of the sport. How would you describe yourself outside of sports?
Oh, this is a hard one. I think I am a pretty simple person and easygoing. But this is probably a consequence of the sport. Because when I'm in private life, personal life, I like to flow a little bit, and if friends have a good idea, I'm just gonna be like, yeah, for sure. I tag along and I join and I enjoy it, and I don't really need to have something very planned and very specific to do, or I just simple and easygoing. And in a personal private life, there is like the super small stuff makes me really happy, where in the sport sometimes like it takes a lot for me to be proud of myself or make like be like, oh yeah, I achieved that, it's good. And in the normal life, I would say it's the total opposite, where small stuff I'm super stoked about, and I'm not very artsy, for example, in a normal life. Maybe probably more on my skis. I can be creative, but not so much on a day-to-day life. And when I do something that I think is cool, I'm always super stoked about it. I will not tell anyone, look at what I did, but for me it will be super enjoyable. And I think that's a bit how I am, like super simple, and I have a lot of patience, sometimes almost too much. So I feel like sometimes I don't really care, which is like also a bad thing. But I think it's kind of different person or a type of person when I am on my skis or not.
It sounds like a good thing to me if you're super present and being able to really appreciate the moments with your friends and family and not like plan everything, be spontaneous about what you do and stuff. So that's really nice. What do you think about if you would be someone else for one day, who would you choose to be?
Someone else for one day, probably like I'd probably be like a big singer or something, to see how it is to be able to sing like really good. Like all the karaoke I do in my car, like be actually able to do it well. And experience a big concert in like a full arena where everyone's just like here listening to yours. I think more music.
Nice. Do you have someone specific in your mind, or doesn't really matter?
No, it doesn't really matter. Probably just for sure women, because I can just more relate to the voice and stuff. But no, probably something older than 30 now. Like not someone too young. Because I feel like back in the days maybe the sometimes the vibe was a bit different.
Yeah, definitely less phones up and, and the people enjoying the concert more maybe. Yeah, nice. Is there something that you would like that people would know about that they don't know probably about you?
No, not specifically. Sometimes, but that's also due to skiing. But sometimes I wish that everyone knew that I could speak like different languages. Because sometimes someone come to me and, oh, what, you're speaking Swiss German? And I'm like, I've been speaking Swiss German in interviews for about 6 years now. So yes, that's just one thing, but that's it doesn't really affect me that much. But I think it would be cool.
One of my favorite sentences on your website is that every medal, every experience, and every defeat has a story to tell. Can you tell us one of your favorite stories?
Oh, there's quite a few ones. yeah, this is just one that I'm thinking about right now because I talked about it with my dad yesterday. Like I just approach the competition most of the time with passion as well, and in my goal is to have fun. And yeah, the hard work is in training, and in competition I try to really be on a good day that I can enjoy my skiing and I don't feel too much pressure. And one day I was like, it was at XGames, I don't remember what year, 2020 or 21, I think. And yeah, I just had zero fun, and it was comp day, and I was like, I don't know how to do it without the fun because it's not really key for me. And I just called him, and he was like, well, I know you need the fun, but I can feel it in you. Like today, like what you need to hear is probably that you are an athlete, you are a machine, and without the emotions, you can do it as well. Like it is emotionless, it is sad, but you can do it. And you have to learn that sometimes you cannot always go with your emotions and your fun and everything. Like even if it's important for you, like it's a lesson that you have to sometimes just push through. Sometimes it's not good. You can get injured, whatever, or you can do something stupid in life. But he reminded me that, yeah, we don't always do it the way we want. And he was like, yeah, maybe, well, today you're at a comp and I don't feel like you're not going to start. So if you start, like, you have to just push through. And even if it's not the most fun day. And in the end, I was like, I did not especially enjoy the competition after that. And I was fourth place, which was like, but in the end for me it was like a really cool story because I feel like it taught me a lot of stuff for the upcoming seasons where, yeah, sometimes you don't feel good, but you do it. And I didn't get injured that night. I didn't get a crash. I actually did really big tricks. Probably was my best, not my best skiing, but my biggest compilations of trick during the whole contest. It was a big air at X Games. And yeah, I ended up fourth because the level that night was absolutely insane. But it taught me that, yeah, I can land my tricks. I can land the big tricks with focus, but also with a bit less fun. And it works. And yeah, for the years after that, I feel like, yeah, it helped me a lot with the consistency as well. Like, if there is a day without fun, then you can still do it. And yeah, it costs a lot of energy and commitment, but you can still do it. And in the end, yeah, if you want it, maybe you don't want it in the day, but at the end of the season, you're going to be like sick that I pushed myself on that day because it was probably crucial for an overall or for a result or whatever. So yeah, it taught me that lesson, and I think it's a cool story.
Absolutely, definitely cool story. Also nice that you have your dad being the one like telling you what to do, but probably he's the one who knows you super well, so he knew exactly what you needed to hear at that point. If you're standing up there on the ramp, for example, and you're waiting to start to drop in, what is going through your mind?
Well, I don't think much. Yeah, I'm just really in the moment, and I just know what I have to do next. And yeah, that's also sometimes where the music sometimes is good. And my coach is always somewhere around, either right next to me or just preparing himself to come and just give me a last handshake or whatever before I drop in. So sometimes I just have a quick chat with him, or I listen to some more advice. And I don't have a lot actually going in my mind at that moment.
Do you have special routines or stuff that you always do before a comp?
No, I don't have like crazy routine. Like obviously, but it's even more than a comp. Like just my warm up, I always do is similar. I know with the time now what works best for me, and at some time of the season, I know like I had a crash, so I need to be careful about that or this leg or whatever. And I just adapt the warm up a little bit, but it's kind of the only thing that I have as a routine. Otherwise, you always have to be at the start a certain amount of time before, but that's kind of for everyone the same. So, yeah, I don't have anything very special that I do.
What about visualizations? Do you do that just before you go up there, or is it something you do, like, I don't know, maybe 15 minutes before the actual run?
Visualization is really important. I just do it a lot even before the event, or I do it through the week so that on the weekend I'm ready. And I think it's a lot of work that I do even off snow, and not so much on snow, because I don't want to get distracted with like, oh, how exactly should I like set my trick? Like I will do a repetition movement maybe, or like turn my shoulder or whatever, to just make sure I got the move. But it's a lot of work that I do before, like even days before, or yeah, the week before I will start thinking about the next comp, and if I have a precise goal on the big air, exactly the run I want to do, or putting a certain trick in a slope style, mostly on the jumps. I visualize it, way before it happens.
What about pressure? Is there an amount of pressure that comes maybe from the people who are watching you on television, or is the biggest pressure coming from yourself? Is pressure even something that you feel?
Yes, the pressure that comes from myself is the most that I feel, and that's also, I don't feel it like really the day I compete. I have pretty normal feelings. Sometimes the breakfast is a little bit hard to swallow, uh, but that's really the only thing on the day of the competition, because my goal is to be the most calm as possible during the comp day, like have all my nerves like ready for my competition, but not try to burn them for something else. So I have a lot of pressure, I think, during the summer, even during the spring, like where the season is over and I have to chill, but I'm thinking already about some stuff, or I like think about the summer too much, and or even the next winter. And I think the summer is when I have the most pressure, because I cannot prove anything in the moment. So I'm like, yeah, I have to wait like maybe half a year until I have my first comp, or I have this comp. And yeah, I think that's when it works the most. And in the winter, I feel like I'm more, quiet and calm, and the pressure is kind of off as soon as it starts. Obviously, there is small moments where, you have a bail and something hurts, and you're like, next week's gonna be tough or whatever, and that's like sort of a last minute pressure. But otherwise, I try to, keep it down during the winter, and it's kind of like in the summer that it's more time consuming or energy consuming. Yeah.
Did you find ways to cope with that pressure? Did you find like certain tools or something that helped to kind of chill down after you had those thoughts about that pressure?
Yeah, I mean, there is always stuff that I think about, and in certain times, certain things work better than others. But I think in the summer, like, we off snow and off winter, there's a lot of training going on, and I think for me the best is to just make sure that I do the best I can. So then in the winter I'm ready. But in the summer also, just like when I have pressure, I'm like, okay, there's something I need to do. I have to act on it. Otherwise, it will just keep stressing me. And if I don't do anything about it to solve the problem, or make it right in my head, then obviously it doesn't work. So I always try to actively think about a solution, or even do action that will make me a bit more peaceful. But yeah, that's super abstract. But like, that could be anything. Whether it could be like, tomorrow I go to training at 10 a.m. instead of 11 a.m. or instead of in the afternoon. Sometimes it's just about organization and planning.
Just before the run, whether it's slopestyle or big air, is there some part of fear going on in your body, or some feelings that you feel like, this could be something connected with fear?
Definitely, there is sometimes fear and a bit of should I go, should I not go? But again, this is something I try to avoid for the competition. But I have quite often in training camps. Sometimes I set myself a goal the night before, and the next day I'm like, oh, I don't want to do it. And this is just fear, like probably accumulating, or something that is stressing me from like 2 days ago because I had a bail, or I also didn't dare doing the trick 2 days ago. Then it was a day off, or it was like a shit weather day, and then the next day is sunny again, so it would be a good day to try it. And I don't feel like it. Like I always try to differentiate like the good fear and the bad fear. And the bad fear is like when you feel like you're gonna get injured, and the good fear is like when you are a little bit like, ooh, I'm scared, but I'm going. But you're like scared, but it's on a very surface level. It's not going too deep. Like, and when you have fear, I feel like it's a bit deeper, and you have to maybe listen to yourself. So I try to differentiate like those moments where I have to listen to myself, and sometimes where the bit scary moment is actually that it's actually just you being conscious that you're about to take some risk, but you're ready for it.
You were ready for the first ever female to successfully land the switch double cork 14. That was a while ago already, but an amazing achievement that you did there. And was that feeling that you had that day, was it the good fear?
For sure, yeah. And I think I had a moment where, like the day before, I was like super confident, and on the day I was like just a bit of up and downs. But I did. It was super cool because I had good energy. I tested the jump, then we almost rebuilt the whole jump because the guy was here, and I was like, the way it's built now for the public park, I really don't like it, and I don't feel like doing it on this. So it was so much time waiting at the bottom, but he did the whole jump for me. And that was super, super cool and super nice of him to take so much time. Also on the glacier with difficult snow condition and stuff, he couldn't do everything, but he did so good. And then like it was so much waiting, and I was like, oh, I'm still gonna be ready. And then I tried to jump. It was super good, and I did like a couple. I did a couple jumps, and I did a couple switch double 10, and then I did one where I opened up, which I never did. But I was like, I don't want to do another one. I think I want to do it now. And my coach was like, yeah, I feel like you got it. You're ready. So I was like, okay, if he says that. And then for a second, I was like, yeah, but I almost died on a jump before. Like, am I really ready? And I was like, you know, it was a little bit like the good and the bad. And you're like, and you don't know what to listen to. But yeah, afterwards, it's cool to have experience where it works like that, because you remember the feeling, and you're like, yeah, cool. I think I have a bit more of an idea when is a good time and when is a bad fear.
Talking about risk, that's also kind of a risk management thing. Like, let's imagine you being in a competition, and you maybe don't had a great first or second jump or course. How do you decide if you're gonna go all in, or if you're gonna just like be on the safe side?
Well, that's something we always talk about with the coaches. You know, sometimes the run, like there is always a risk, but sometimes it's super under control, that there is not even a thought about changing it. And sometimes, like if you do a small mistake, you're gonna try and do more at the rest of the run to try and compensate a little bit, which sometimes works. And sometimes you're gonna just kind of give up because you're like, it is not worth the risk, because the small mistake I did, or the mistake I did, cost me too much focus, and now I'm like, I will have another run, and that's when I will land it. And that's always a scenario that we kind of anticipate, but we try not to do it on the day of the competition. We try to just be like, during the training, try out different things, and be like, all right, I did this trick, but I know I could do it with one more rotation, but I have both of them ready, and I can decide kind of spontaneously. But it is never the goal to have a spontaneous decision in your run. But it can happen, and you can also do a mistake that no one will notice, but you know that it's a mistake for you because you just did something wrong. But in the end, like, it looked good, and sometimes that's super high stress in your head. But it's kind of like you have to have those 5% of spontaneous decisions ready to go, because it can happen. But that's something that you kind of work on through the week or through the training, and also with some discussion with the coach, depending on what you tried and how you build your run. Yeah, sometimes you try to power up, and sometimes you just let it go and try again next run.
Talking about risk, in 2014, there was a study about head injuries among FIS World Cup alpine and freestyle skiers and snowboarders, a 7-year cohort study. And the conclusion of that study was that freestyle skiers had the highest overall head injury incidence across all disciplines. The injury incidence was higher in women than in men. If you hear something like this, does it kind of scare you, or is it something that you kind of try to push away? Because you yourself, you had some head injuries as well. How does that kind of influence your day-to-day work?
Yeah, I don't think it scares me now. Sometimes it scares me a bit more for the newcomer, because I feel like it's something that you just never realize when you're younger, and you're like, I hit my head, I have a bit headache, tomorrow will be good, and tomorrow you go again, and you just have zero experience and you don't have enough knowledge about it. So I feel like and I feel like it happens more to women, and I think that is still the same. Well, not 100% sure, but I think, like a woman's body is like, not that it's weak, but it's not as strong as a man's body. And especially when you're like 16, 18, 20, like the guys are getting strong and the women are almost, that's when you start seeing the most difference between a woman and men. And I think that is a phase that is crucial for women in freestyle skiing, to just prevent the injuries. So that sometimes I'm like, now I feel like I'm out of this phase, so I'm a bit more scared sometimes for the other girls, or I hope that they have a good structure around them to take care of this. But yeah, I had some head injuries myself, and it's like, it's not fun, and you don't want to have it, and you want to spare yourself as much as you can from getting one. So yeah, I don't think I am scared for myself, and I think I have the structure and resources to have the possibility to have treatments. And I already had some treatments, and it worked super well. So I kind of know what to do if something happens, but I don't think everyone really has a solution. So yeah, it is we could talk about this for hours.
After your 2017 ACL rupture, you said an injury is always a school of life for an athlete. How did you mean that? And maybe you can tell us some more about that life lesson.
Well, yeah, at first it's like the end of the world, and like it's not even 1 year for me at that time, before the Olympics, and I'm like, damn, I was really good, on a good way to at least participate at the Olympics, and I did a couple podium on my first season, so I was just like hungry for everything, and then I got injured. So at first I was like, well, by Olympics, by everything, like this is so sad, and I was super sad. And not long after that, well, first I had a month to rehab a little bit my knee, and then I got surgery. And during that month I was like kind of emotionless. I was just like trying to accept it, and I was like, I think I was okay with it because I didn't have surgery yet. And then I got surgery, and you're like, just, it's not the worst surgery, because even the day after you can put some weight on your leg and it's not a problem, and it's not dangerous, and it's even recommended. So they walk me a little bit through the hospital on the first, second day and stuff. But like, you realize it hurts like so much in the night, and you're like just laying there and you're alone, and you're like, that just sucks. And for good 3 weeks I was I was probably just super depressed. I was at home for 2 weeks. It was just so boring. I don't remember many details. I just was like kind of going through like as good as I could. And then I could start doing more physio. I went back to school. I just started a bit more the normal life with the rehab. And yeah, it was super just hard for 3 weeks. I didn't do much, and then like after a month, I started doing stuff, and I was like, okay, it actually from one day to another, it's better now. It was like there's always phases where it goes. The progression is super quick, and when I had the first quick phase of progression, I realized, okay, I think I can do it, and it's a good challenge. And if it's here, it's to teach me something, and I will try to make the best out of it. And if one person tells me it's tight, but I think you can do it, it was enough for me. I heard that, and I was like, okay, let's go. And then it turns into a challenge more than like a failure, kind of. And yeah, from then on, I was like, the Olympics is a goal, but it's like it's like in the back of my head. And now I focus on every day. And if I make it, that's great. And if I don't, then I will have another chance in 4 years. And just turned to be a pretty cool experience. And I learned a lot. And just the fact to see a hurdle as a challenge more than just being like helpless for yourself is like pretty good. But I think it takes that phase of being sad or disappointed and angry, whatever. And then after a bit of time, you have to switch your mind and be like, okay, I will learn something for sure. And it will take some time to also know exactly what I learned, but there is positive to take out of this. So that's what I try to do now every time I have something annoying or sad or disappointing happening to me.
But you did great. You went to the Olympics in the end and even won a medal. So great job you did there. But let's go quickly back to what you said at first about like being a little bit depressed. So it kind of shifted from like physical to mental at first. So you had kind of struggles with the mental part.
Yeah, definitely. It was like a physical injury that impacted my mental as well. And sometimes you have more of a mental challenge that impacts your physique, where you're like, I'm not good in my head, so I feel like my body's tired, and like I don't have much motivation to move, and like when I move I don't feel super good and stuff. And now it was like the opposite, where the physical injury like went to my head for sure. But I think that's part of it.
Yeah, absolutely. Did you work with someone at that time, or even like now or during the whole career? Did you have a mental coach or someone to help you in terms of mental fitness?
Well, in the very beginning, when I had the surgery, I was like rehabbing in a physio center in Lausanne. That my manager at the like we were working with them a lot, and he was like, all right, you're going there and you see everyone. You see the nutritionist, you see the mental coach, you see the physio, you see him, you see her, and blah, blah. So I did everything, and I kind of picked what I wanted. And I thought the nutrition can only help me. And then the mental coach, like, I think it's super personal. You have to find the right person. And I did not have a feeling at all. So I talked to the girl like maybe twice, and then I was like, nothing against the person at all, just like didn't match. And I was like, I don't think I need that. Like, I don't want it. So I never worked with anyone for this injury. I think I just had to maybe learn also for myself. And later on, I had a couple sessions, I guess, with another mental coach from the Red Bull APC, which is like a center where Red Bull athletes can go and have training and like a proper structure, everything on site. And I had a couple session with this girl, and when I had really a big a moment where I was like stuck, I would just talk to her. But I was like, I don't know, I wasn't sure. For me, it was too based on the performance, and I was like, I probably need more help on the human side, and so I never really kept doing like regular stuff with her. And this spring I was like, okay, this time I want to try again, and I think I need it with someone that is not really from the sport side or performance side of things, and more like humans, like actual psychologists. And I tried, and I thought it was super cool, and so I think it helped me a lot. But nothing really to do with the sport. More like what sports teach me, of course, but how to use also my tools that I learned as an athlete in the normal life, because I feel like I had troubles to translate it from, I am great as a skier, but I cannot really use my skills, like my mental skills in the normal life. And I had, just a bit of struggle to make the bridge between the two sides of the life. And that helped me a lot, and it's pretty cool. And I could definitely recommend it to anyone that is a bit curious. Like, they should definitely try.
Being able to do that transfer is super important, I think. And that's also something that maybe for loads of athletes, because there's also in multiple sports, there's a person that you can talk to within the sport. But maybe as you experienced it, it's better to go to someone who's not even like connected to the sport, so you can really just be you and not be the athlete.
Yeah.
So kind of be the person behind the athlete, and then literally just be yourself and talk about whatever you want to talk about, because otherwise you always get connected being the athlete, and could be tough at times.
Exactly. Yeah. Just also knowing, like, I just felt like also with just being 24 and having so much ski on my mind, I was like, what am I doing when I'm not skiing? And I had struggled to actually know who I am. And the guy was like, you know who you are, you just have to see it. And it was, super helpful, and quite enjoyable.
Last season was kind of like a dream come true, I think, for you. 6 victories, 3 second places out of 9 competitions, and you won all of the overall stats as well. So amazing season. Congratulations. And the question now is, what is next for you?
Well, I think the mental thing that we talked about is what was for me the biggest thing to do next, to make sure that I can keep doing the sport, because it's like a lot of it's a big load, it's a lot of energy, and when you have a season with a lot of success, it's super cool, and you want to be able to enjoy it and be proud of yourself at the end of the season. But for me, it was not necessarily the case, because I was so tired and super burnt out from the whole season. Like, every time I had a beep on, I was like, I have to perform. And it's like, today is not a choice. It's like, I have to do it, because it was my goal. And to make sure I reached that goal, I had to just condition myself a lot. And it was super fun during the season, because like after every comp, I was like hands in the air, and I was like on the podium. So it was like super sick. But what is crazy about good emotions as well for me is, like, I see it a bit that like the positive and good energy emotions have batteries as well. And like, even if they're positive, the battery is empty as well with the time. And at the end of the season, they were just like empty, fully empty. And I needed a bit of time to reload them. And also, like, even now, like, obviously now I am more motivated again, and I am in the rhythm, and I have some goals on my skis, like more as what trick I want to do, what is my short-term goal for this season. Maybe try and be even more creative, do stuff that I really enjoy on my skis, and think about what I would like to do and would make me happy purely as a skier and not as an athlete. And then try to make the link, like, if I do something that I enjoy on my skis, will it be enough for a competition? So I try to build my trick and my goal in that way, instead of being like, okay, what would I need to win? Okay, I will do this trick. So it's kind of like a reverse approach, and I think I'm going for that now. So I don't have like a precise goal of like, yeah, I want to win the globes again, or like there is world champs at home next year. Like obviously it's a goal, and I think it's going to be super cool. But I think even just be able to participate in a world champs in your home country is already super cool. So I try not to think about that too much yet, and my goal is just to make sure that I can enjoy like this life also with the sacrifice and the energy that it takes. It's like super cool, but there is the other side that like I need to take care of to make sure that I can keep going, and everything that I do allows me to keep enjoying it. So I think that's the main goal, to work on myself, so I know that every time I do something, I'm in the right place at the right moment and stuff. So a bit more maybe philosophical thoughts, but I think that's important for me, because the success is great, but it definitely has a darker side. So I don't want that to happen too much. Yeah. I want it to be most stable as possible. And at the end of the season, I was so dead that I was like, okay, maybe I can try next season to be a little less dead to enjoy the summer a little bit more.
Yeah, but I think that's a super nice approach to like being able to keep the fun and not only focus on the competitions and on winning, because obviously you started because of your passion for the sport and because of you had so much fun and pleasure. So why not keep it going? And I loved that approach. You already said there's loads of stuff ahead coming with the World Champs, and then 2026 with the Winter Olympics in Milano Cortina. Is like, even if you look at 2026, for example, like title defense, is this something that is in your mind, or like literally your approach is also like now step by step you just like get going?
Well, I think there's different parts of my brain. Like I see different brackets kind of, and there's some of them that are, that have eyes on the Olympics. There's a few ones that have the eyes on the World Champs, and then the biggest majority has the focus on the moment and day by day. But if I still want to be able to defend my title as next World Champs and next Olympics, then for sure I have to think about it a little bit. But I really try to think about it in the best way, in most positive way possible for now, to start preparing it. But and I also don't really see it as I have to defend my title. It's like kind of like for me, even any medal would be probably great. Like I don't like being the actually reigning world champion and Olympic champion in slopestyle right now. Like I have everything to lose, but if I think like that, it's like it's not good anyway. So I just focus on what I can hopefully then win, even if it's a bronze medal or if it's just a spot in final. Like I'll see. I'll try to earn as much as I can for sure.
If you had one wish for the future or for your upcoming season, is there something you hope for?
I probably hope to be a bit more with my emotion, a bit more less roller coaster style, so that I can the highs are super high, but the lows are also low, and I just hope to manage to have that a bit more less curvy, so I can I don't feel like I have to at some point just stop everything and then put all my energy into one thematic, so I can try to be a bit more stable with the whole thing. I think that would be great.
We have a tradition on our podcast where the last guest leaves a word for the next guest, not knowing who they'll be leaving it for. And the word left for you is life motto.
Well, my life motto at the moment is definitely always try to like make everything work that I feel like I am in the right place at the right moment. Like that's definitely, I think it's gonna change within the next years. But as of right now, that's my life motto. Like work on your stuff so you always feel like you're in the right place.
Perfect way to end our podcast. Mathilde, thank you so much for being here, for telling your story. I think loads of people learned something new about you as an athlete, but also as a person, most importantly. Thank you for openly sharing what you experienced during the last couple of seasons, during your ups and downs. And I'm 100% sure that you will achieve much more in the future. We will cross our fingers and watch you on television as soon as possible. And yeah, let's hope that you have an amazing season, and most importantly, to keep the fun at priority number one. For all of the guests, if you want to know more about Mathilde, go check out her Instagram or her web page. Actually, you do have. I didn't mention that you have your own collection that you're wearing. Show it off. Just short MG online. If you are interested, go check it out online. Thank you so much for being
Thank
here.
you.
Really appreciate it.
Thanks.